I don't know. I actually respect that he was like, I'm not about to get into that.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fair.
Well, we don't
it's
see a lot
like,
of that. We don't see a lot of that in the media.
You don't.
Because he could have ran the numbers
He
up.
could have.
So Joe Budden responds to backlash after removing a Diddy Cassie podcast segment. Now, I'm not familiar with this at all. Is anybody? I can read some of this, but if
I'm familiar with him speaking on pretty much saying it shouldn't have to address it.
okay.
That Puff shouldn't have to address
No,
it.
that Joe Budden, as someone on a podcast,
I mean, yeah.
saying that he shouldn't have to address it just because. And I get that.
Just because he has a platform,
Right.
He ain't got. He can talk about whatever he wants to talk about.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, let me go
Also,
ahead.
we don't always need to hear what everybody got to say about
Absolutely,
everything.
absolutely.
Let's ask Ja Rule what he thinks.
Ja
Like, no,
Rule,
we don't care.
He is the
sometimes.
pinnacle.
So let's go ahead and read some of this
You know what
here.
I'm saying?
So
What?
this is an article from Hip Hop DX. So Joe Budden has addressed the online backlash after he removed a segment of his podcast that dealt with the Diddy Cassie lawsuit. Last week, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Bad Boy Records founder, accusing him of
Yeah, a lot.
the R word and
So
the
many
and
things.
DA, and
Yeah.
during their decade-long relationship, Diddy has denied all accusations since and settled the suit with the singer. Shortly before the release of the the latest episode of the Joe Budden podcast, which aired exclusively on Patreon over the weekend, Budden went on Instagram Live and said he had to do some last-minute editing while alluding to the legal drama between the former couple. Quote, I had to do a little bit of editing because y'all almost got me. Y'all almost got me to be the only voice out here saying some ish. Nah, them blogs would have had a field day with that podcast this morning.
Somebody got it.
So he added, sometimes you got to protect your peace and your co-host peace. I ain't playing with y'all. So Budden did address the lawsuit on the podcast, but skirted around saying anything directly about Diddy or Cassie. Instead of commenting, I don't feel like I need to come here. Let me rephrase that. Instead, commenting, I don't feel like I need to come in here and have word vomit about my discernment when it comes to evil-ish in the industry.
Okay.
So
He kind of said something right
Yeah,
there.
that
though.
makes sense.
he kind of did. So the question that I guess was posed here in general, does Joe Budden and people that talk about this stuff have a responsibility to talk about this stuff as opposed to just ignore it?
No.
Nah, this kind of goes back to the conversation we had about Drake and 𝐀𝐿 addressing the Palestine and Jewish situation going on. Not necessarily. I mean,
Israel,
that's what I meant. You don't have a responsibility that you have to talk about what's going on. Now, it would be nice with you being from that background if you did have something to say that was of value. All right, add it to the conversation, but I don't feel like anybody has to say anything when it involves these type of situations, because sometimes saying nothing is the right thing to say because nobody's going to agree with you out 100% anyway, regardless of what you say.
right?
Plus, hopefully, people are not looking to him to help form an opinion.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, that's no disrespect to
Joe Budden.
But that should be the way. That
Mr.
should
Pump It Up himself.
But that should be how it is really
But-
across the board.
Yeah,
for the
man.
most part.
I don't care what he got to say about a
Right.
lot of stuff, man. Like, I agree with him. Like, he don't want to talk about it. He don't want nobody to know what he thinks. All right, bet. You know,
That's fine.
You know, the only thing I can say, I mean, there's a lot of things I can say, you know, but the only reason I someone's asked, I've had multiple people ask me, are y'all going to talk about this case on the show?
Ooh.
The only reason I want to talk about it is in the case of how it affects podcasters, because that's what we do.
Right.
Because other than that, we don't do really celebrity gossip. And plus, grand opening, grand closing on this whole thing.
right?
Yeah, real quick.
You know,
Real quick.
sometimes there are things, like I said, there's a reason why we shoot this show for 2 hours and only put out an hour show, because
Facts.
everything that we say isn't really,
Yeah,
we want it to be a part of the permanent record, if you will.
right.
You know, the only thing
So if you want to be a part of that, you know what to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
Watch
You
it
can put on that
live
summer
or
screen. And
Subscribe on
Subscribe to
Patreon.
Patreon.
subscribe on Patreon.
You can
the
get
whole-
all the uncut.
yeah, all the
There you
uncut, moving cameras and saying inappropriate things. You want that? Then go on.
it's real players with nothing but this uncut.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Down
the only thing I
south.
will say
Down
is,
south.
you know, I did have a chance to go through the 35-page.
You read
you
all
did?
of that?
You had time?
I read a couple pages, but I've never seen a legal document.
This
give you a
started with trigger warning.
I don't now, and I was like, oh boy, I'm like, we getting ready to get into it,
You know,
and it is detailed.
there's some parts.
Interesting.
There's some parts where I'm like, come on now. But
Detailed.
you know, there are parts that I completely believe, because when you start adding up P. Diddy's entire
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, you know, just in the words of one Khalid Muhammad, this is a sick Negro.
But he's been that guy though, without even knowing this stuff. He's been that guy.
But there's some stuff
I've never really liked Puffy.
But there's some stuff in there where like I don't
shady.
believe that at all.
Yeah.
I think this is they trying to run it up.
Yeah.
And you know, even with her settling, it was like, okay, this is just too embarrassing.
You know what did it for me with Puff is when he let Shine take the hit on all that. I was done there.
Yeah, that was foul. That was foul.
I already didn't really have, but it was like I didn't really care one way or another. But I remember watching that play out. I'm like, and
now him and Sean are cool, rubbing elbows and stuff together. But the only thing that I don't like about this situation, because I wasn't here nor there.
Right.
And know whatever went on with their relationship for those 10 years. I don't like how it was filed as a civil suit and then just you paid some money and it went away. That's what I don't like. Because what it does, it puts people who really have been hurt and harmed in a weird position. Pretty much saying that if you have a certain amount of money, then that makes all that pain go away. That doesn't happen, because if some of these things that were specified in that document happened to this young lady, and I'm not saying it didn't, but somebody else's experience, money's not going to make that go away.
It's not going to fix.
Yeah, we
trauma.
talked about that at the house.
That.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I don't agree with, how this came out on Friday and it was settled on Saturday. And now it's gone. And all these people were, tell your truth, tell your story.
And I'm doing this for all the other women who suffer in silence. And then in 24 hours, you're like,
it's gone.
It's amicable.
And I bet she has an NDA.
I
probably
know
does.
She has an
that
NDA.
NDA is probably crazy.
Probably does. So that means the so-called book that she probably was going to put out, it's not coming out.
Because initially it was going to be a book, and they was like, well, you know, I'm going to put this book out unless you pay me this money. And it was like, you know, that's extortion, which is a crime. And so like they had to pull back on that because she couldn't get a publisher.
Listen,
I mean, you make
money.
You make a really good point. No matter what the deal is, she got to figure out how to live life.
After this,
all of it, and who knows how, and I guess how long she's been living life with it.
So you really didn't get justice for that?
Nah, anybody that knows anybody that's lived through anything like that, you know, it don't really matter. It's always going to be a thing. It's always going to be a thing. Yeah. No matter how much time passes, always.
It's like there is no real restitution for it.
There's nothing like that, man.
So, he could have gave her every dollar he has. It still ain't gonna change. You know.
All I know is if I was Cassie's and one of her family members, I'd either want justice. I probably shouldn't say it. No, I'll say it. I'd either want justice, and if I can't get justice, I want blood. And
well, I mean that's
some of the stuff that was described. If it's real, it's like, yo, I know Cassie have done stuff to people for less. You know,
so, I mean, a lot less. A lot less, because he was doing a lot.
In street cats, you ain't got to give them nothing. They might do, you know.
Come on, man.
Just tell them. You just tell them what went on.
You could tell just by looking at Diddy's eyes what type of person he is.
Come on, man.
Like
I try to remind people, man, he a street cat, man. He from a different cloth.
His daddy was a gangster from Harlem.
Yeah.
Come on,
around Nicky
man.
Barnes and all of that stuff. He's a street guy.
Man, listen.
He's a street guy.
You know what's wild too?
He's a street guy.
This is wild because I never even thought about this until this situation happened. So everybody from the original Uptown is gone.
Yep.
Except for Al B. Sure. And remember, he had the health scare about a year or so ago.
Yep.
And now he's back, and he kind of alluded to something here recently, because even Ken Porter was part of Uptown.
Yep.
Yeah. Because that was originally Al B. Sure's lady.
Yes.
That's who Forever My Lady is written about.
Listen, so there's a lot of weird underlying things that are going on that surround this character called Buddy Love. Well, that's not really
Buddy Love.
Yeah, whatever he was. Brother Love.
Buddy Love.
Buddy Love, ain't that from Nutty Professor?
Yeah.
We can start calling him Buddy Love now. That's cool.
Buddy Love. But
Buddy Love with these.
He going to forever be Puffy to me. I'm not calling him nothing different. It's Puff.
Listen, so there are a lot of situations that have happened and occurred during this man's career.
Yes.
That kind of add up to.
Or he had Steve out with that bottle.
Yeah, these things being very possible.
He's questionable.
But listen, you can't, and this is for anybody that's going through something. Money does not make that right.
Nope.
But it's okay to ask for it.
Well,
I mean, it's the best you can get.
Exactly. I
feel you, man.
Yeah.
It's not like it don't like. I mean, if you know any family members or anybody that's been a victim of anything traumatic, the money really.
Nah, because
that's the only way.
But I think the weird thing about the money is every time you spend it, guess what you got to think about?
Yes.
How you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
see, I'm the type of person that I'm gonna figure something out for my people.
Now the part I'm gonna say something.
But at the same time, that's the only way that you. That's the only way that you can. That's the only way you can really.
What's your recourse?
Hurt.
You have no other recourse.
Only way you can hurt.
That's it.
How you can actually get.
But you're not. He settled for what, 30 million?
I know.
That is a drop in the barrel for him.
No, the number wasn't really released.
He's still
like
up, though.
initially they said it was 30 million.
Was it? Okay.
It better be more than that. He gonna be up regardless of what it is, though.
Ain't he like close to being a Billy?
Yeah, or net worth.
If he ain't
I think
already.
he might be.
Yeah, people.
Net worth.
Yeah, net worth is different.
It's different than what you can just pull out of. Yeah,
whatever it was probably like here.
Yeah.
But and this is going to make some people mad, but this is talking about a lot of other situations. This is not specifically to Cassie. It's crazy when all of a sudden people want to be honest, have a moral sense is when the money get low.
Yeah.
Because let me cook. Because all of a sudden I don't even want to go into detail about what this dude said, but apparently somebody who was in Will Smith's inner circle.
Oh wow, yeah,
and it's like, well, money must be running low. Like, remember when all of a sudden them two little kids sat down? They weren't kids, but they was adults. Yeah. They sat down with Oprah talking about what Michael Jackson after Michael Jackson been dead. Oh yeah, money ran out. Yeah. It's like if you're going to do or not do certain off-brand stuff around people, Gene Deal, no money coming in, gotta get some attention and get some money. Like, you better make sure you take care of these people for the rest of your life, man. Because honestly, look, this is why I everyone would love to be rich, but I've never aspired to be famous.
Yeah, they can keep that.
I don't, because the thing is, fame, a drug for the person who's famous, but it's also a drug for the people who are around a famous person, because they get the trappings of fame bestowed upon them a lot of times. But when it runs out, somebody's like, it's time for the tell-all book because money's running low. And I'm not
searching for that precious.
Look, man, I'm just saying that everybody, man, like, once again, everybody say, oh, I love to be famous. I love to have the spotlight on me. You don't want that like you think you do.
Andre actually talks about that in that GQ interview to connect that. He talks about how he likes to be able to, because it's in a laundromat, and he like goes there, and he talks about how he appreciates that he doesn't have to worry about that, whereas like his friends can't. And I saw a story where like Eminem couldn't go to his daughter's homecoming thing or something like that. He had to sit in the classroom and watch it because it would have stole the attention from what she was doing. And like, I mean,
and the thing is, like,
it'd be like Mad Lib. I would prefer that where like if you know who I am, then you know who I am. But Mad Lib can probably go to Trader Joe's and ain't nobody gonna say anything.
Exactly.
To him,
but the sad thing is, you almost don't want to know this in this age of transparency and social media. We know too much about the people who we enjoy or we don't enjoy, because I'm telling you what, when you start to when you look up some of your idols and these people that you love,
trash.
You're like, man, like when you really know about Marvin Gaye and Janis years, that's why we never gonna see a Marvin Gaye biopic. Trash. Because he was
right, because you seen the Elvis.
But he was R. Kelly beta test. Sorry, y'all. And like, I mean, they did do the joint about James Brown, but at least they didn't shy away from the James Brown like to hit women from time to time.
Oh boy.
I mean,
here sizzling. You didn't say cook. You ain't here. You got the Blackstone out. You know what I'm saying?
It's greasy.
Yeah, you got the deep fry.
I'm here to pod today, y'all. A lot of your heroes are trash. Shout out to Joe Budden for having some sort of edit button.
Nah, for real.
And
also for putting that battery and Drake back to drop these 6 songs.
Yeah, I don't blame him for doing that though. Sometimes you just have to weigh like, do I really want to get into this?
I think it's nice.
I don't know if you saw a Slim Thug. He waited a little too deep into the water.
Well, they thrashed Slim Thug.
He should have kept his mouth closed.
Yeah, he probably should have.
But I think
even a fish wouldn't get caught if he kept his mouth closed.
Listen,
people just
as Mike would say, that's a bar.
That's a bar. Yeah. That's a bar, ain't it?
Thanks to my grandmother. That's where I got that.
You got to do it like Mike do. Ooh,
ooh, that's a bar right there.
Yeah. Ha ha ha. So
that speaks to a greater issue. I know, moving on. That speaks to a greater issue of like people even wanting these people to say something. Like,
that's what I was getting ready to get.
Because everybody is nosy.
Yeah, that's what I was going.
And everybody, this goes back to the conversation we had last week about what it takes to get on. About the whole messy. I know we didn't end up including messy, but it goes with the things that we did include. Being messy is part of the allure. People want that. They want you to
drama,
to air somebody out so that they can talk about it and make their own little post and have people talking about it. It's just the time and place we're in right now.
That's the one part with this Joe Budden thing where I would say the fact that he had, so often we are critical of people that don't think about that, and the fact that Joe did think about that and was like, you know what? No, I'm going to bow out of that.
Yeah, I think doing this for a minute.
I think that's cool.
Noble. Yeah.
And you know what I think it was,
because you can do that for clicks.
It's just like, let me stay out of that.
And I think, look, because there's this one cat I saw who broke it down, and he was laughing at some of the stuff, and it's not funny.
It's not funny.
Now there's like, I take that back.
Was this
It's not funny, but there's some parts where you're like, that was okay.
I can see that.
But the thing is, I don't. If there's a part of that show, maybe somebody slides in a little comment and it turns into a joke, you don't want that out there.
No,
nah, man,
you don't want that
need
out there.
that.
Like I'm still kind of like tiptoeing around because I don't want anyone to think that I'm making light of the situation. Even though I only know one side.
I have a daughter, so that kind of keeps me to the point where, and even before then, I'm just saying, like if somebody
it's a different vibe though.
Yeah, it's different though.
But
It's
even
like
if your
anything that
daughter was an
happens with
adult
kids,
and
like-
you found out any 10% of this is happening, you either want justice or you want blood because I know you.
Yeah, it's a different.
You
It's
don't like the money.
Being a parent makes everything
Yes.
you look at makes everything different because you can't help but look and think like that's somebody's kid. Like you can't divorce yourself from that. So I feel you.
I don't have like I said, I don't have children of my own, but I have my god kids. And
exactly.
If anybody,
but
hurt them
you have morals. You have a moral compass.
Yeah,
humanity,
and if I was like, if they say not guilty in court, we gonna find out where he's at
It's gonna
later.
be a time to kill, man.
Yeah.
Come on,
yes,
man.
they deserve to die.
And yes, hope they burn in hell. Yeah. Hey, I understand that 1,010%.
I didn't get it when I was a kid, but I understand now.
Listen.
Because that's
now.
the thing when you like
Ride on my enemies.
All my homies that got
man.
kids, like if you a good father like that for real, you down to die for yours.
Come on,
die
dog.
behind
If
yours.
it came to
dog.
it, man, yeah, real rap.
Yeah, so
I love my son
No
to
question.
death, literally. You
Yes, exactly.
know?
You really understand
To
that
death.
phrase.
Yeah. To life too, but to death. I mean, straight up.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I actually respect that he was like, I'm not about to get into that.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fair.
Well, we don't
It's
see a
kinda
lot of that. We don't see a lot of that in the media.
You don't.
because he could have ran the numbers
He
up
could
talking
have,
about
but like
this.
when you watch the evening news, they don't talk about certain stuff because it's just not what they talk about, and
their
they have
lane.
enough. Yeah, they got enough journalistic,
Integrity.
integrity
Some
to
of
be
them.
like, that's just not like if you watch WTHR or whatever, they're not gonna talk about certain stuff because it's not that they don't care, it's not that they're not aware, it's just not their lane.